welcome to the White Glove demo for Catan Cities and Knights. If you're unfamiliar with the Settlers of Catan, you'll want to watch the White Glove demo for the base game first before watching this one. If Catan Seafarers is about adding a few rules and a lot of variety, Cities and Knights is the expansion for those who want more. More complexity, more choices, more interaction, more challenge, and more victory points in order to win. You need to have a base copy of Catan to play Cities and Knights, but there are a lot of new pieces to add to the game. For starters, there's a new set of cards.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Ta-da!
3 commodities, coin, cloth, and paper, are added to the 5 resources from the original set. Cities that produce ore, sheep, and lumber now produce 1 resource and 1 commodity card instead of 2 resource cards. 3 card decks replace the development deck of cards.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Ta-da!
Glover, stop that! We've got too many changes to be doing that. The science, politics, and trade progress cards can't be bought, but you can earn them when you buy city improvements. City improvements cost you commodity cards. You track your improvements using the city calendar. City improvements give you access to the progress cards, can give you special abilities, and can even earn you 2 points. We'll talk more about them later. The barbarian tile and ship are placed next to the board. Throughout the game, the barbarian fleet will move along this track and attack Catan when the end is reached. You get a few new player pieces too, 3 city walls and 6 knights. There are also a few Defender of Catan cards you can earn later. There are 3 Metropolis pieces in the 3 progress colors. These are also earned through city improvements. The event die is used with the regular dice from the game. Finally, you won't need the largest army card. It's not used for Cities and Knights. That's all the pieces we need. Let's get into the gameplay. You start the game with a city and a settlement instead of 2 settlements. Trust me, you're going to want those extra resources and the commodities. When a city produces grain or brick, you receive 2 resource cards as usual. If a city produces sheep, you get 1 sheep and 1 cloth. Mountains produce 1 ore and 1 coin, and forests produce 1 lumber and 1 paper. Have you ever wondered why there were 2 different dice in the base Catan game? It's because when you roll the dice in Cities and Knights, the red die roll is used for more than just determining the resource roll. When you roll the dice, you roll the event die with them. If you roll the barbarian ship, move the ship 1 space along the path. We'll talk about what happens when they reach Catan later. You can trade with other players and the bank as you normally do. Resources and commodities trade equally to the bank. You can trade 4 resources or less with harbors and receive a commodity, and vice versa. Your city calendar shows what you can build in Cities and Knights. There are 3 new things to obtain. City walls can be added to a city you own for 2 bricks. Each city wall you build adds 2 to the number of cards you may keep when the robber strikes. Knights are no longer found in the development deck. You pay 1 sheep and 1 ore to hire a basic knight. For the same price, you can increase the level of a knight by 1 step. A level 2 knight is a strong knight, and a level 3 knight is a mighty knight. No, really, Glover, that's what they're called. Knights come into play inactive on their black and white side. You pay 1 grain to activate a knight in order to use them. Knights come into play on any hex intersection connected to your road network, and they have several uses. You can move a knight to any other open intersection along your road network. Knights can be used to reserve a spot that you want to build a settlement at. However, a more powerful knight can come along and boot you out. You may also chase away the robber. If the robber is in the hex next to where the knight is standing, Move the robber somewhere else and steal a card from someone with a building next to the robber's new hex. Anytime a knight does something, the knight becomes inactive. You must pay a grain in order to activate the knight again, and knights may only act once per turn. Knights have one other important function: to drive off the barbarians when they attack Catan. When the barbarian ship lands on the space closest to the island, the game stops and the barbarians attack. Count the total number of cities on the board. This is the barbarian strength. Then add up the value of the activated knights from all players. Basic knights are worth 1, strong knights are worth 2, and mighty knights are worth 3. If the barbarian's value is equal to or less than the total knight's value, Catan is victorious. The player who contributed the most knight points towards the victory is awarded a Defender of Catan card worth 1 victory point. If there is a tie, each tied player gets 1 progress card of their choice. If the barbarian's value is higher, they loot Catan. The player or tied players who contributed the least value of knights have a city reduced to a settlement, and they destroy any city wall attached to that city. No matter what happens, the barbarian ship is returned to the far end of the track, and all knights on the board are deactivated. City improvements come in 3 flavors: yellow trade, blue politics, and green science. Yes, Glover, kind of like breakfast cereal. You buy improvements using commodities. Each step of a city improvement costs 1 more commodity card than the level before it. When you buy an improvement, you flip the corresponding page of the calendar. City improvements give you a chance to get progress cards. If one of the colored progress faces is rolled, check the value of the red die from the resource roll and compare it to your city improvement of the same color. If the red die value appears on your calendar, you get a card from the corresponding deck. The more improvements you have, the better your chance at getting a progress card. Trade progress cards give you advantages in trading and production, and you might find the merchant who will improve your bank trading and give you a victory point. Politics often give your knights benefits, and the science deck can give you free buildings, let you set your own resource dice rolls, and even swap resource numbers on 2 hexes. Each of the city improvement tracks give you a special benefit when you purchase the 3rd improvement. The trade track special improvement is the counting house, which lets you trade commodities 2 for 1 with the bank for the rest of the game. The politics improvement, fortress, is needed to improve level 2 strong knights to mighty knights. And the science track gives you an aqueduct, which lets you get a free resource if you do not get any on a resource roll, except for a 7. The first person to build any of these 4th level improvements gets to place a metropolis marker on one of their cities. It's worth 2 victory points and makes the city immune from the barbarians. But if another player builds a higher improvement on that same track, they take the metropolis marker. The first player to reach 13 points with their buildings, victory point cards, longest road, metropolises, and the merchant is the winner. Cities and Knights is for the Catan player who wants to experience many levels of play and interaction. It adds an hour or so to a Catan game, but it rewards you with a deeper, richer Catan experience.
Ta-da!
Okay, I'll give you that one.